Hey everybody, it is Molly Kay. Hope everybody is doing well. I want to come to you today because I want to talk about the disaggregation of blackness that's happening right now, and it's got a lot of people up in arms. It is um, kind of painful to watch. I will admit I'm glad that it's happening, but it's also very painful. One, because we have always been taught that everybody Black is on the same page and should look out for each other. And what we're learning is that we're not on the same page. We're not all working for the same goal. And it's kind of like if you watch the old think tanks, right at the end of the civil rights era, right when integration started happening, and Black um, people were trying to figure out where they were going or what they were going to do. Black people were like having these same discussions that we're having now. You know, the integration uh, folks wanted to integrate and talk about how great it was. And then the other ones who wanted to separate and build their own communities and, you know, not integrate were clashing. And what happened was those people who wanted to um, separate, or I guess you call them segregationists, they mostly ended up being harmed, killed, incarcerated. A lot of them had to flee. Um, and those who wanted to integrate got their way. And what we're seeing now is how detrimental integration has been to us. And um, even in our politics, integration has not been, it has not been good for us. And so we're seeing, or we're living, the impact of 50 years of symbolism, tokenism, and having Black leaders who are there, but they aren't really there for us. They're there to uphold and maintain white supremacy and control our opposition. So they basically control the opposition for, you know, the bad guys in the war. Just put it like that. And so with this aggregation of Blackness right now, it's kind of like the beginning of a new era where Black people are dividing based on their, political or cultural or social ideologies or financial, um, you know, ideologies. And what you're finding is that, like we always knew or we always said, we're not a monolith. And we know this, um, but the world hasn't really cared to know because they're so busy lumping all of us in one category. That's, when you understand the system of white supremacy, you know that they don't know who we are. You know they don't know that we all don't like the same thing because they don't really care to know anything about us. All they care about is we're Black and they know how to treat us based on the color of our skin, but they don't really care to understand or explore the differences in us. And with that, when you talk about immigration and um, Black people and just immigrants in general, America has imported the people that will benefit America. They haven't done us any favors. So when they let people come here, they come from countries that they know they've propagandized and that have a history of being anti-Black, which is why they love to import people from Latin America, from Europe, and even parts of Africa are colonized, and those people don't really either have a firm grasp of white supremacy and they like it and they're okay with it because it's to them it's better than where they're coming from, or they just simply don't understand it because they haven't really had to fight it or push back against it like we have. We've been pushing back for 400 years. Nobody else really has had to. They come here, they get grandfathered into whiteness, grandfathered into white supremacy, and then everything is good. Life is good for them. And they go on and treat us like white people treat us. And so this aggregation that's happening is a good thing. We need to figure out who is on the team and who is not on the team. And today on Twitter, I talked about how Harriet Tubman had to leave certain Black people because she could not change their minds. They could not understand that they were free. They could not see freedom because they loved being enslaved. They were worried about the crumbs or the little bit of stuff that they were getting and being in bondage and having a shelter, stuff provided by somebody else who was really exploiting them. They could not see past any of that to see a whole road in a life where they had opportunities and freedom and they didn't have to worry about getting beat and having their children stolen or getting raped or working from sun up to sundown. Like there was a whole other world that she was trying to get them to, but she couldn't get them there because they could not see themselves outside of slavery. And so this uh, disaggregation of Blackness is similar to that. Like there are Black people who don't want to be free of white supremacy. And that's fine. That's their right. They are entitled to have that view. But you can't pull all of us down because you like to be enslaved and work for pennies and compete with all these different groups. And if that is what you like, then fine. But don't try to pull us all down because this ship is sinking. And so people who have a healthy brain and two good eyes and some ears are like, what are we going to do? It's time for us to start gathering and, um, figuring out what we're going to do. It's time to start building because this thing is falling and we need to be prepared for whatever is happening. We need to go through history and see what's coming next because they just use the same playbook. And then you have these people who are sold out to politics. They're sold out to white people, and whatever white people tell them they need to do in order to save them, they do that. And they are all for it. And they will use any, you know, number of excuses and opportunities or tools to do whatever it is that they want to do that keeps them comfortable. And so, what I see in my view of the disaggregation of Blackness is that it needs to happen. So it's going to be ugly. Um, the disaggregation, it needs to happen. Um, we can't have, feminists who don't respect men going with us and challenging, whatever men do, and we can't have people who are not interested in raising healthy families because when you start over, you can't have a community with a bunch of different types. You have to be selfless. You have to invest, and a lot of times you're going to get nothing in return from your labor, but it's for your future. And I was listening to uh, Jason Black last night, and one of the callers, or he made a good comment about how back in the day, a couple of generations prior to the civil rights generation, people were selfless, meaning mama and grandma took care of the kids while their parents went off up north to make it. Um, they raised the kids and schooled the kids, and the father and the grandfather worked like, it was a whole village helping to maintain the family, and the close-knit families were able to do better, and they were self-reliant. So they took on um, skills and talents that would help the community. And today we don't do that. Today we teach our kids to work and be good workers and go get a job. and which is fine. I'm not saying anything is wrong with that because that's what I was told to do. But what you find is that you build up white supremacy, and then you look back and your community is being gentrified. You look back and your community got bunches of abandoned houses, and you left the old people, and the old people don't have anybody to protect them. And so they helped us to be better in the civil rights generation in that era. Our parents basically left and was like, screw helping anybody else. I'm gonna get mine and you have to get yours. And so that's kind of what we are living now. We're seeing the results of that attitude, and it's like really bad. Like I kind of think Jason Black hit the nail on the head when he talked about the civil rights generation and just all the things that we're experiencing now are just things that happen when you don't keep order. In order to have a society, you have to have people working towards goals and a common goal and community center. And what we did was we were like, I'm gonna try to compete so I could be with white people. I want to go to the best schools. I want to live and be the only black person on the job. I want to be the only black in the neighborhood. I want to be the first black this. Well, that ain't got us nowhere. Our kids in shambles, the kids today, the next generation struggling, they're worse off than our generation was. We're dealing with employment crisis. Automation is happening right before our eyes. We're not ready. We didn't have the good education. Just, we're just out of the loop. And so the people that have let us down. And we should not be in this situation if we had good leaders who not only saw the future, and I'm not going to say we did, we had wonderful leaders. We had Dr. Anderson from Powernomics. We had Neely Fuller. We got all kinds of good people. But you know what happened? Those people, the dominant society, they don't let us have access to because those people are teaching liberation. And the dominant society wants to practice enslavement, this new evolution of enslavement. And so what you have or what you're seeing is people who want to continue the evolution of enslavement. And then you have the other people that are like, I've already experienced this. My grandma experienced it. My daddy experienced it. You know, everybody I know has experienced this. I would like to get off this ride, please. And people are um, frantic because they don't really know what to do. And so you have the civil rights leaders or that generation, the Jim Clyburns, the Michael Eric Dyson, um, the different people saying, hey, y'all need to get in line. This is what y'all need to do. Don't buck, don't ask no questions. And then, it starts with the victim blaming. And then you have, people like Jason Black, Professor Black Truth, um, TD, Hip Hop, me, and just a lot of other different people who are like, wait a minute, I don't want to do this anymore. And I've been talking to a lot of black people, and a lot of black people are tired and they don't want to say, I'm not voting anymore. Or they're not saying, I hate the Democratic Party, because when you say that, you get beat down with, um, oh, people died for the right to vote and so on and so forth. Well, yeah, they did. And look where they got us. We about to become, uh, go back to Jim Crow. And so what? They died. We voted. We don't have nothing. But while we were voting, we also didn't build nothing. And we started sharing everything that we had with other people because we thought everybody else was on our team. And what we did was we gave our backs to people. They climbed on them, got blessed to get in a higher class than we were, and then they turn around and stuck their middle fingers up at us. And so now we are having to deal with that and try to fix that. So some people are like, well, let's keep trying this experiment and eventually we're going to get it right. But they've been saying that since 2000 and it's 2022. So for 2020, for 22 years, since George Bush, we've been saying, if you vote for this one and things will change, you vote for this one, things will change. You got to vote for this one and keep working. Well, shit, how much do you have to damn see failure before you figure out this is a failed plan? I don't like wasting my time. I don't like seeing a problem and not trying to fix it. And I don't like wallowing in um, problems that have pretty easy solutions. And so for me, if we need to disaggregate it so that we can let the people who want to go and do that, let them go do that thing. It's not going to save them. The dominant society has already basically put laws in place, put people in place, and we live in a lawless society where politicians who are outright fascists get to keep their $170,000 jobs and go to work and talk shit to us every day and do the same thing they did prior to January 6th. So if, you know, you have to look at the entire picture in totality, you can't say that um, you can't say that things are going well and we're going in the right direction. We're not going in the right direction. And if those people who think we all want to continue on that path, let them, bless them, coming and going. And those of us who see that the ship is sinking, food get ready to be scarce, violence is on the horizon, and you need to protect your family, your children, your mother, your siblings, and get people that you love and care about together so that you can prepare to survive and build or build because you don't know what's happening, then do that. And so this disaggregation and this gender wars and this diaspora wars, like all that is just it is it's just something that needs to happen in order for us to get our house in order. And we haven't done this since the civil rights era. Even before the civil rights era, it wasn't done because people who wanted to separate were in conflict with people who wanted to integrate. And the dominant society was willing to sacrifice some things for the people who wanted to integrate because at the end of the day, they were going to benefit from everything that came from integration. They weren't necessarily going to benefit from anything from integration. We would just live and be separate. They get our tax money, but we would at least be safe and have the best stuff. But the integrationists won, and here we are. We're not in a better position. We're worse off than our parents were, and there's a possibility that some Black people, my children or grandchildren may not even get to own a home because of how things are if we don't change. They may not ever own land. They may not get to go to college. They may be relegated to some lower status than our status now because Black people haven't done what they were supposed to do to secure our status and move us out. We were so busy trying to be friends and be liked and be the first and be the only that we forgot about the village and the collective and reaching back and getting the next generation. Now everybody is selfish for themselves. We consumer uh, driven and just not in a good place. So in order for us to get there, there are some people who have stuck their necks out to be informal leaders by providing different things, whether it's education, whether it's a route, just um, you know political. The people are jumping into the political circus, trying to make a difference. People are trying to figure out what they can do. We all can do something. And people are doing that. And then there are the people who are sitting back saying, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to wait till November and I'm going to vote. Well, those people are people who are not really going to help us build. And by the time they figure out what's happening, it'll be too late. And so we have a couple of years to disaggregate ourselves and get ourselves together, even if it's just disaggregation for the purposes of living peacefully, free of, white supremacy and violence. You can't ever really get rid of white supremacy, but at least you have a place where you can live and socialize and educate your children and entertain yourselves, shop and do the basic things that we need to have done without the white gaze. And so, this aggregation that's happening is important and it is going to be painful, but don't let people bully you into thinking that, um, we're bad because we're raising issues. One of the biggest issues is that Black people have been quiet for so long. We've taken so much for so long. It's like the quiet person who finally, when they start fighting, they kick everybody's ass because people been fucking with them for so long. Like that is what's happening now. And so African American Black people are tired. We're getting it from all sides. We're getting it from Black people. We're getting it from white people. We're getting it from Asian people. We're getting it from Hispanic people. You getting it from the Caribbean. Everybody got smoke, and everybody is trying to fend for themselves and not being um, a collective. And so you're starting to see people and hear people who have white supremacist mindsets and white supremacists speak. And those people cannot go with us because that language and that mind, that thought process is a dominant society speak. And that language is not going to be productive for us. It'll actually be counterproductive. So those people need to be weeded out. Um, and so, bringing it back home to um, Joe Biden and his Supreme Court picks, the issue is not that those women are married to white men because nobody really cares. Like we wouldn't even know all those women had white husbands had he not picked them all. Well, somebody not picked them all and put them on a list. So clearly that had to be some type of characteristic that somebody looked at and said, this is good for optics. This is going to accomplish some goal that we want to achieve. And so when you, look at what is going on, you understand there's a lot of subliminal messaging there. And if you didn't check out my piece about um, why the push for interracial relationships, again, I'm not opposed to interracial relationships, but I want you to understand there's a push for a reason, and it's to help America get white again because their numbers are recessive. So even the imagery of the Black women with the white husbands, I think they've added more people to the list now, but when it first came out, 5 of the 7 had white husbands. So that's not by accident. There are like hundreds of judges across America that they could have picked. But they picked these group of people for a reason. And um, I will say those people tend to not necessarily focus on Black liberation. They tend to focus on integration. And when I say integration, being a first, being a symbol, being a token, um, representation, but not liberation. And so those people who want representation, they can go and have their representation. I wish them well. But those of us who are fighting representation and symbolic gestures that don't do anything to progress us as a collective. We are opposing that. So we're not necessarily opposing those women. We're opposing the Biden administration and his method of excluding Black men, um, just the optics of Black men. We're challenging his method of, in order for a Black person to be valid, they have to have white proximity. And I'll give you a prime example. Joe Biden was President Obama's vice president. The only reason they picked him was because um, Obama was Black, and you got to have a Black person and a white person, because two Black people, for God's sake, can't have no power, because they might do something, and God help America if Black people fix something that was broken. So President Obama and Vice President Joe Biden were paired together because while President Obama was Black, he did have a white mother and he had white grandparents and was raised by those grandparents. His mother, while his father was Kenyan, his mother had, um, other husbands. And so she was okay. They kind of whitewashed her life and just made everything about her and the grandparents. And then here you have them grooming Kamala Harris when she was the state attorney general for California. I don't know. I don't think at the time she was married, or maybe she had just got married. But there's been a grooming of certain types of Black people who are not African American Black people. Even the fact that, you know, we've been here 400 years and we've never had an African American Black president. Like, you think about what we haven't had. And even with the Supreme Court, you think of the Black people that we got on the Supreme Court, the one Black person we got is like Clarence Thomas. We don't need another one of him because he don't work for us. He worked for white people. He got a white wife too. And he works, he helped with the insurrection. His wife did. So, when we are looking at these picks, we are looking at, in totality, the connection to white supremacy and to white people. And so our concern is not it don't have nothing to do with who people pick. It is we understand the types of Black people that white people pick to be in power have certain characteristics, and they tend to be the kind of characteristics that are non-threatening to white people, whether it be I'm going to be here as a token, but I'm going to do all the stuff that white people want me to do, or I'm going to just be quiet and not do anything and let them do whatever they want to do. And I'm going to stay here and get my paycheck and be proud that I got my paycheck and I'm the only Black token in the group. So Black people have a right to be concerned. Those of us who are concerned, some people are just like, I want a Black woman, I want a woman, I want a woman, I want representation, I want symbolism. That's fine. Um, Again, I hope that works out for y'all, but symbolism has not worked out for Black people. And when I say work out, some Black people are fine with that because they're upper middle class. They live amongst white people. They don't care about what we care about. They care about good schools. They care about living in a nice community. They care about having money to go on vacations and trips and compete with white people. I'm not talking about those Black people. Those Black people, that's nice. Again, I hope, that ain't got much longer to last for you, because white people come back to take all they shit. So, you know, just remember, just like they did during at the end of Reconstruction, the same thing is going to happen to Black people again. When white people get to take off their robes and be like, hey, I'm gonna, only have white people working here. I'm firing everybody Black. What you gonna do? Nothing. You're gonna try to sue? Who you gonna sue? All the people that you had to go to are white now. The courts run by racist white judges who don't give a shit about nothing. They're gonna be like, oh well, too bad, so sad. The employer had rights, and so goodbye. Um, those of us who have already parted ways and started building and creating our own jobs and doing business with each other and working to get that together, we will halfway be okay. Of course, we still going to have to deal with some things when it comes to white supremacy, but we at least we will have begun to, um, become self-sufficient and empower our people to do better. If our ancestors did it before, we can do it again. But we have to sacrifice and we have to just make it plain that we are dissatisfied with the way that America has treated us. We're not participating in a system that is going to continually undermine us. And that is all that we're saying when we talk about this aggregation. So this disaggregation, again, I don't want people to be upset and um, worried or feel like everybody got to be nice and come together. We've been nice and we was together and nobody was really happy. We all were miserable and we were keeping our misery to ourselves. And so now everybody is like, hey, this is wrong. This is happening to us. um, these people are saying these things about us. These people feel this way about us. These people treat us this way. And they have been lying about how they treat us. And we want to talk about it. And so now we have a platform, we have platforms to do that. And everybody is offended because we have been quiet and not saying anything and allow white supremacy to basically silence all of us. And it forced us to pretend we all were happy and inclusive and a monolith when we weren't. So um, I just wanted to come to you and talk to you about the diaspora wars and the gender wars, because the gender wars, same thing. The people who are on the gender war agenda is still another tool of white supremacy. If you study where feminism and all that stuff came from the same place of same people who created eugenics, they created birth control, they created all the ways to keep us divided so that they can maintain power. And so, when the black community, which I feel like is the strongest community on earth and the only real community that is opposing white supremacy, comes together, we are powerful. And they know that, which is why they insert gender wars, which is why they insert LGBTQ wars, which is why they insert, you know, pick a thing. They put us against immigrants. So all these things are intentional. Um, even the interracial marriage thing. Yes, black men and white men and black women and white women, everybody is mixing up and doing all mannerisms of everything. It wouldn't be a problem if we didn't live in a racist society, but it is problematic because we do live in a racist society. And, people are not really talking about it and acknowledging the truth of the difficulties. So we just pretend um, that a lot of it is rooted in integration and white supremacy. We just overlook that and are like, well, this is how I am. This is what I like. And so, you feel like you had a choice. A lot of times we didn't have a choice. Like a lot of times we were put in situations where this is all we had access to. And so this is what you did. And, now you're seeing that the world ain't so we are the world. It's difficult. So, um, those people are having a difficult time with these conversations because it's the truth. Um, and because it's the truth, a lot of people can't deal with the truth. So I just want us to be okay with the disaggregation process that's happening, us talking about our issues, us really being honest about what blackness is, what blackness isn't, even to you in your own world, because a lot of us are black and conservative. Even black people who are gay are conservative. They might be gay, but they're still conservative because they understand they live in a society that is run by white people, and color trumps everything. They don't care if you gay, they don't care if you're a pencil, they don't care if you marry. Think you can marry a mailbox, don't care if you screw animals. At the end of the day, they're gonna treat you how they're gonna treat you based on your skin color. And that is the society that we live in. And so people are reacting to that. And so let us, as this disaggregation process happens, try to be um, diplomatic and polite as possible. I know everybody that's not necessarily us. They ain't being nice about it, and that's cool because it just it says something else about the character of a lot of the people that are under the black umbrella. But I try to talk about the issues, tie everything back to white supremacy. Don't make it about your feelings. We can talk about things that happen in our experiences and how those experiences impact us. But at the end of the day, the real issue is white supremacy. And anything that we're doing that is not countering with white supremacy and racism is a waste of time. So um, just remember that the focus of this aggregation is to counter white supremacy and to be able to have some control over what happens to us, because right now we don't have any control over anything. We don't have any power, we don't have any money, we don't have any resources, we don't even have people or caucuses or political vehicles that work for us. Everything we have is for colored people. We got a congressional black caucus and the whole platform is about colors. Um, the NAACP is for the advancement of colored people, not black people. So the first thing that we have to do is create some type of new black political vehicle or more than one vehicle so that we can advocate for the things that are important to us, things that we need for us. And those people who are fine with whatever else that, American politics has given them, then that's their prerogative. But for people who aren't, you have a right to be vocal, you have a right to express your feelings, and you also have a right to disaggregate yourselves from those people who are not going in the direction that we want to go. So that is all I have to share today. I hope you all enjoy your Monday. Again, don't get tangled up too much in those Twitter spaces and Clubhouse and all these racist discussions and the diaspora wars. Um, Use that time to do constructive things. Figure out how you're going to survive and move on and transition out of one system and create a new system and be well. Because at the end of the day, that's all that's important. Everything else is a waste of time. And we still have to fight white supremacy. So if, whatever you're doing, if it's not countering white supremacy, as Neely Fuller Jr. said, it is a waste of time. So don't waste your time. Don't waste your energy on things that don't free us, that don't liberate us, that don't feed us, that won't, protect us from white supremacy. So that is it. That's all I have. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. I have writing that goes with this piece. And so just check in the descriptions for it. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you.